it is way better than any price figure, but at the same time, it is not as refined as some more expensive figures out there. Hi and welcome back to the channel. I'm Steven from X Kurogane Studio. Today with a low budget figure review. This figure right here from Azur Lane. It is very similar to the Myethos Gift plus Alicia figure I reviewed recently from Honkai Impacted. Similar in the sense that it is a low budget figure coming from an established, existing, high budget figure brand, right? Premium figure brand, Apex Toys in this case. So Apex Toys is dipping their toes into the low budget segment, just like Myethos did. Good Smile has their pop-up parade, Kadokawa has Kadokawa Light, Furyu has Tennital, Myethos has Gift Plus, and Apex Toys has Limepie, which is a new product line that was only a thing roughly a year ago, a very new product line. Their low budget figures, they are all 1/8 scale, just like what Myethos is doing with their newer Gift Plus figure. So we are looking at Apex Toys 1/8 scale Limepie Unicorn Angelic Nurse version from Azur Lane. This figure was just released on the 31st of May, in China at least, so a few months ago. In Japan, I'm not too sure, because over in myfigurecollection.net, they labeled the release date as 1st of January, which I think is very unlikely. Probably came out a month later in June. Yes, so this is roughly 3 to 4 months old, a very new figure. Officially, the retail price is 6,000 yen, just like Myethos Gift Plus figures, or roughly 248, 250 Chinese yuan price range. At 1/8 scale, her height, including the base all the way to the top of her head over here, or the top of this unicorn over here, is 20.5 centimeters. She's a bit shorter than the Myethos Gift Plus figure I reviewed, but that is mostly because of the character design. This is sort of a lolly character, so naturally, she will be a bit shorter. So 20.5 cm is indeed 1/8 scale for a character like this. As for the box over here, this is what it looks like. Reminds me of Apex Toys Arctech figures, action figures. The design language is very similar. Paper box, not very protective of the figure. It dented very easily, as it happened to mine over here. But low budget figure, I'm more willing to be okay with that, I suppose. It was partly my own fault for choosing a really bad shipping method for this figure. And there is even a shiny authenticity sticker on the back, which is always nice to have, even though it rarely means anything. So this box is a 5.5 out of 10, nothing special, just very average overall. As for assembly of the figure, very straightforward. You just plug the figure into the base, and then you plug that unicorn into a metal rod and then into the base. Stability is excellent on this figure because both of her legs are plugged into the base. So this thing is so stable that no matter how you shake the figure, she barely wobbles at all. And this unicorn over here is very light, so it only like vibrates a little bit. Stability score is an easy 9 out of 10 for this figure. Excellent. Moving on to the sculpt of this figure, the level of detail is something I would say I already expected at this point, having reviewed so many figures at a low budget from various different Chinese brands. It is about par for the course, perfectly average, and this figure even reminded me of some title core full price figures in a good way, in the sense that her brown color jacket on the outside, they have this texture that makes it look like cloth, but it isn't, though there is barely any shading on this part. So the detail level is average to above average. I can give it a 6 out of 10, mostly because this figure is also of a lower level of detail in character design compared to the Myethos figure I reviewed recently, but it is not bad in any way. If you look at this figure's sculpt on the hair part, especially from behind, and I mean looking at her very closely, this close maybe, then you'll start noticing that it is not as perfect as premium scale figures. It is not as smooth. There are some slight imperfections, or how do I even describe this? Slight waviness, slight unevenness. When you touch it with your own fingers, it is very smooth because of the paintwork and the clear coating. But it is not as clean as premium scale figures. I think this makes a lot of sense given the price point. So it is like a way better price figure, but not at the level of premium scale figures. Once again, 6,000 yen, I think that is about right. So not complaining over here. What I'm trying to say is that she meets my expectations. As for the face, well, it looks really good. In fact, Apex Toys has never really screwed up any figure's face before. They came very close with Ningguang. Yeah, the premium Ningguang figure. But in my opinion, that Ningguang looked pretty good, just that it was a bit different from the prototype pictures. Historically, as a brand, Apex Toys, I don't remember them ever screwing up a figure's face, so that is very reassuring. This figure gets an 8.5 out of 10 for the face, no problems at all over here. If I were to sum up the sculpt section of this figure, it is perfect in the sense that there are no flaws at all, no ugly gaps or seam lines, no mold lines. It is way better than any price figure, but at the same time, it is not as refined as some more expensive figures out there. Moving on to the paintwork, the good news over here is that it is also perfect, just like the Sculpt department. I got a very good copy over here. No paint scratches, no paint transfer, no paint bleeding. Every single part was painted precisely and with a good dose of weathering. You see weathering mostly on her hair over here, different shades of purple color. Meanwhile, on the front of her dress, right, the white dress, you see a bit of lavender purple touches, right, weathering on the surface. It is not pure white, so that is nice to see. However, the brown jacket over here, it is just plain brown, no weathering or shading of any sort. On her legs, the white stockings over here, it is not plain white. There is a little bit of pink on it. So there is some effort being put into weathering, and everything was executed properly with no quality control issues. The bad news, if I can even call this a bad news, is that, this is a simple character design, so there is not much detail points on her body. It is just a character design, not the fault of the manufacturer. So this figure does not look very detailed compared to even some other low budget figures out there. Paintwork is a solid 8 out of 10. If there's one minor thing I don't like about the paintwork, I would suppose the choice of color over here is a bit odd. It could be the character design already looking like this. That would be the color transition of the hair from purple to blue over here. I'm not sure if I like this color transition. It looks a little bit off, but the color transition, the paint they did over here, it is a very gradual transition. It does not look sudden. It does not look badly done. So this is just me complaining about the character design, I suppose. Finally, moving on to the base, this one I can give it a 7 out of 10. Obviously not as good as the Myethos Gift Plus base. I know I keep comparing these two figure brands and their low budget lines, but I think it is a fair comparison because even if Myethos is not as big as Apex Toys nowadays, they are kind of like direct rivals and both are among the best figure brands from China. It is not plain because they did some decal work on the surface, but at the same time, this kind of clear, transparent bases with decals, they are a lot easier to accidentally scratch. So I'm not exactly a big fan of it, but understandable at this price point. The support they gave for this unicorn over here, you need to remember that this is a low budget figure, but we do get a steel support rod over here. Is it stainless steel or normal steel that will rust over time? I really hope that it is stainless steel, right? This may sound like a dumb statement coming from me, to question the metal whether it is stainless steel or normal steel, right? But believe it or not, many years ago, premium Japanese brands, Good Smile included, they used normal steel on metal parts in anime figures, be it metal chains maybe on Black Rock Shooter or foot pegs in general. They tried so hard to save money, they tried so hard to save that 20-30 cents by opting for normal steel instead of stainless steel, which is harder to rust unless you scratch it by accident. And as a result, these anime figures a few years later, they started rusting off. The metal foot pegs and any metal parts you can think of. I have Black Rock Shooter figures by Good Smile, premium scale figures where I had to completely remove and replace the metal chains that came with the figure because they rusted. People like me and many others, we live in a country with very hot and humid climate. And sometimes when we touch the figure, we leave behind sweat, which is acidic and also salty. You combine it with a humid environment, that is a recipe for rusting, right? And even premium edgy figure brands like Native, they also used normal steel on metal parts in their figures many years ago, and those things rusted away as well. I was pretty mad when I found out about it, but hopefully nowadays they don't do that anymore. I'm praying that this piece of metal over here is stainless steel instead of normal steel. Yeah. So the base is a 7 out of 10. Above average but not excellent. Moving on to my conclusion for this figure of unicorn over here. Can I recommend it? Once again, for low budget figure collectors, it is a big yes. Apex Toys, Myethos, and many Chinese brands, they are doing an amazing work, making pop-up parades look like jokes in comparison. Highly recommended all the way. For premium scale figure collectors, you don't want to waste your precious space on the shelf, in your detolf, or in your bloody den, then feel free to skip this one and buy a more premium scale figure of Unicorn. I believe there are brands out there making premium scale figures of her. Wing Company should be one of them. There are a few options, and I think Alto also has it. So that is all for today's figure review. If you found it informative or helpful, please do give this video a like. Subscribe to this channel for more anime figure content every week. And until then, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.